Okay, welcome all. Welcome to this lab of object-oriented programming 1. And today we'll continue with your practical list. Let me show the disclaimer, then I'll start the session. Okay, so we have already done from the practical list. We have already done practical up to practical number 17. Now let's focus on practical number 18. What does this say? Practical number 18 has to say that you have to write a program that moves a circle up, down, left or right using arrow keys. Now this circle basically is created as an graphical object. This is what the circle would be, a graphical object. Okay, and it would be moved, it can be moved up or down or left or right depending upon the arrow key pressed. Okay, so if the up arrow key is pressed, the object would move up in up direction. If it's like this, that if an arrow key is pressed for up direction, it will move up. If it is pressed for left direction, it will move left. If for right, then it will move right, or for down, it will move down. Okay, so let's see how we make the graphical object. We'll be learning JavaFX in this. Okay, so check this out. I made this project called JavaFX Lab Programs. Okay, and we'll be able to access this from our repository also. Inside this JavaFX Lab, I made practical number 18, 19, and 20. So let's go for practical number 18. Practical number 18 says write a program that moves a circle up, down, left, or right using arrow keys. Okay, so now see, we'll be starting to use JavaFX package now. Okay, so we'll require all the classes and interfaces and all the objects of JavaFX API. So how do we do that? So we first import JavaFX. Now let me tell you about each and every class. So this application is the main class which we will inherit. Okay, and make our simple Java application as a desktop based and GUI based application. So this makes our simple Java program a GUI based program. Okay, but what kind of GUI? So you need GUI objects also in order to add to it. Okay, so we have main as a stage object. Main is the stage object. Inside stage you will have a scene. So a stage object would be represented something like this. Stage object is almost equivalent to a frame. Okay, where you have buttons like this. One for closing, one for maximizing, and one for minimizing. Okay, so this is a simple stage, or we can say previously in Swing this was called as a frame. Okay, but here in JavaFX it is called as a stage. Okay, so this is the stage, and inside which you can have a scene. Inside which you can have a scene. This thing a page inside it, it's called as a scene. Okay, and inside that scene you can have a pane, different kinds of panes. So if you say, if you want to show whole page, then that can be one single pane. If you want to divide the whole page into, let's say, three areas like this, then that could be three different panes. Suppose you are dividing the whole area into two different uh, suppose two different pages or two different parts, so then that would be two panes. Okay, so those are what? Those are the pane objects. Now, pane objects are the one which have actual uh, graphical objects inside it. So let's assume right now we have only inside the scene we have only one pane. Okay, and inside that pane we will have various circle objects. So here we might have one circle object. Maybe over here. Okay, so this circle object is put inside the pane according to some insets. Okay, according to some insets. Insets means the x and y locations that are provided. Okay, these are provided by insets, and so the circle object is located inside pane. Okay, so it's something like this. See, circle object located inside pane, pane object located inside scene, scene object located inside the stage. Okay, there is a hierarchy, and the top of this you have the hierarchy as stage. Inside stage you have a scene object. Inside scene you have a pane object. A pane object can have other pane objects inside it. Right? Or it can have directly other objects like the circle object over here. Okay. So this is how the whole hierarchy of objects are associated, especially in this particular Practical 18 program. It's not like always it is like this, but currently it is like this. As per our Practical 18, it is like this. Okay, in this practical we are using a circle object which is put inside a pane, which is put inside a scene, and which is put inside a stage. Okay, so if you see the tree, the hierarchy is like this: stage contains scene, scene contains pane, pane contains circle, like that. Okay, okay, so now let me show you this program. What do we do in this program? Let me first run it out. Okay, let's right click and run file. So first check what it does, how it behaves. Okay, so here it is. See, here we have this output, and here is the circle object. And if I press my arrow keys of the keyboard, then this circle moves. If I press down arrow key, it moves down. If I move right arrow key, it moves right. If I move up arrow key, it moves up, and left arrow key, then it moves left. So how is this possible? How is this possible? Let me show you. Now see, we have a start method inside this and main method. Okay. Now this application that Practical 18, this our class extends. Okay. This application class has got three main methods. One is One is init method. Okay. Second one is the start method, which gets a stage object, and the third one is the stop method. Okay. So these are some of the methods that basically the these are some of the methods that basically are given by this application class. Okay, and so let me show you how is this application class made. Okay. Okay. So see, application class basically has this main methods as start, init, and stop. So now let me show you uh, how we implement the start method. Okay, how we implement the start method. So check this out. Here we are overriding the start method. We said that it overrides start method, which gets a stage object. Okay, in order to call the start method, what we do, we call the launch method of this application class, where we pass this arguments given from command line. So this launch method, basically this launch method, when this is invoked, it will indirectly invoke the start method. Okay. So let me show you what is there in start method. See, first of all, we are overriding the start method. In the start method, we say new pane. We are creating a new pane object. Let's suppose that a pane object has been created. Okay. And let's suppose that this is a pane object that I have created. Now, inside this pane object, I am putting some padding. New insets 30, 30, 30, 30. For on all four sides, we are putting a padding of inset of 30 space. So there will be a space put like this. You can see this white space. White space is nothing but the padding. Okay. So if I put anything, any new pane in this pane, then this padding would be followed. So we put it by new insets. We're putting a new inset object. Okay. Then we say new circle 50, 50. What is this 50, 50? This is location X. This is location Y. And this is basically the radius. Radius of the circle. So this will be a full filled circle with radius 30, and it will be located on location 50, 50. So somewhere around here, the center would be there. Somewhere around here at this location, at this corner, the center would be there for the circle. Okay, and the circle would be placed like this. Okay, when would it be placed like this? When you say pane dot get children, so you see the hierarchy, pane says get a children object, and inside that children object you add the circle. So it's a hierarchy. Pane object contains a children which has got a circle object. Okay. Now once we add the circle to the pane, Now we have to set some events, or we have to set some code for an event to happen. Okay, so basically we write event handling code. Now we will write event handling code. So what events do we have to write, or what events do we have to handle? Events are key press, up key press, down arrow key press, left arrow key press, and right arrow key press. These are the four different types of events that could happen. Okay, and once, see what happens with keyboard is that whenever a key is pressed, okay, it sends a code. It sends code. Okay, it sends an ASCII code corresponding to that particular what corresponding to that particular event. So for example, if this right arrow key is pressed, a code would be generated for that. Okay, and it will be sent to this particular object where there would be some event handler method. So check this out. What does it do? So this is the pain object, right? This is the main pain object, which contains the object circle. Okay. So in this pain object, the pain object is the main object which can handle this four events. So what we'll do is, check this out. Over here, we say pain dot set on key pressed. Now what is this on key pressed? Key pressed is the event. So on that event being occurred, what do you set the method to get executed? Understand what we are doing? By saying pain dot set on key pressed, we are defining a code which will get executed when the key is pressed. It can be any key, it can be any keyboard key. Okay, so what do? We say that when any key is pressed, right, we set it on. What do we say? We say that on a key press, an event gets generated. Okay, on a key press, an event gets generated which gets passed over here as an event object P, and that event object can have a method, so that is represented by this arrow. Okay, and if it's a single code to be executed, then it's fine, we can just write it over here. But if it's a multiple line of code, then it acts as an anonymous method, a method without any method name. It looks something like that, because see, from here the code starts, and after this let me show you. Okay, here it is. From here the code starts. It's on line number 26, and on line number 42 the code ends. The call has not ended, the code has ended inside the call. What is the call? Set on key pressed. So this set on key pressed will do what? It will set an object for which there is a method which starts over here and ends over here. Okay, and it has got some code. So this method is set. When will this method be executed? When any user presses, while running this application, a user presses a key. If the user presses a key and that particular key generates what it generates a particular code. So that event is fired and that event object is sent over here, and then it executes this method. So what is there inside this method? Let me show you. Inside this code block, what is there? We have a switch block. It starts over here, ends over here. Inside this switch block, what argument do we pass as a switch parameter? We say e dot get code. What is this e? E is the event that happened. When did it happen? When a user pressed a key. Okay, so when the user presses the key, an event object gets transferred over here, and then we check what is its code. If that code is matching this any of these constants are up, down, left, and right. These constants are also provided from this JavaFX API. Okay, so if the code of that event matches any of this constants, then what do we do? Then see, let's suppose that the user pressed up arrow key and the event got generated, got fired over here, and in the switch case we get the code as up. So it matches, let's suppose that it matches this up case up. Okay. So this up is a constant, so it represents only a number. Okay, don't worry about what it is actually. It is simply a constant which represents a number, and that number might be equivalent to this code that we get from the event. So right now it matches because the user has pressed what? User has pressed the up arrow key from the keyboard, and that code has been generated, and that event has been generated. From that we get the code, and then we say that okay, it matches up. So what do we do in that case? In that case, the circle object that we had added to the pane, we set its center y. Why we set its center as y? I mean, see, there are two centers, center x and center y. X and y locations of the center of the circle are represented by center x and center y. So in order to change those values, we have to call this method set center x or set center y. And now when we set center y, it means we are only updating the y value. What are we doing? We are only updating the y value of that center of that circle. So the circle will obviously either move in up direction or in the down direction. So if we check this out here, what do we do in set center y? Let's see. We first get the current y value. Now it's supposed like this. If this is a screen and this is location x comma y, this is location x comma y. Let's suppose that this location is about 50 comma 50. Okay, this x and y location is about 50 comma 50. So if you want to move this location up, then you will have to reduce y. So you will have to go down from 50, because see what happens is the counting of this inset starts from left to right and top to bottom. So this particular location over here is 0 0. This particular location, or we can say this particular location, is 0 0. Okay, just a minute. Okay, let's restart again. Now see here, when we say on key pressed, we get the event. From that event we get the code, and now we are going to, we see that it matches up. So the control goes in this case and it sets the center Y for the circle. And now we know that in, let's suppose if this is a screen, that this particular location is 0 0, and then the x starts increasing from left to right and y starts increasing from top to bottom. Okay, so if you want to go up, you will reduce y. If you want to go down, you will increase y. Understand? To go up, reduce y. To go down, do what? Increase y. Then to go left, similarly, to go left, you do what? Reduce x. And similarly, to go right, you increase x. Get the point? Yes. We are reducing y in order to go up. So if any location if any object is over here and you want to take it up, then you reduce its y. If you want to take it down, you increase its y. If you want to take it right, you increase x. If you want to take it left, you reduce x. Got the point? Suppose this y is, let's say x is 50, y is 100. In order to take it up, we'll have to reduce this y. In order to take it down, we'll have to increase this y. In order to take it right, we'll have to increase this 50x. In order to take it left, we will have to decrease this 50. Got the point? So this is how you will be setting the values of x and y of the circle. Okay, throughout. So check this out. Here we say we want to go up. So what will we do? Go up, we will reduce y. Okay. What is the current value of y? That will be reduced. So check this out. We say circle dot set center y. Get the current center. And if it is greater than the radius, okay, the current center is greater than the radius, then do what? Circle dot set center y minus 15. Okay, so you reduce the center y by 15. Otherwise, just let it be as it is. So what is radius basically? Radius is 30 over here. Let's say radius is 30. So if it goes more up, it means if you get the center which is almost less than 30, which means, let's say if you get a point which is over here, okay, and then the circle looks something like this. So what happens is, in the screen, this part will not be visible, only this part will be visible of the circle. Only this half part will be visible, this much part. Okay, so that is not good, right? So what do we do? we do? We get the center and reduce 15. And otherwise we get the center as it is. Okay. Now, if we press down arrow key, suppose if we have pressed down arrow key, okay, then what would happen is we would have to increase the y. So at that time, this e dot get code would match this down, and in that we set the center y, and there here we check if the current center y is less than the height of the pane minus the radius of the circle. So if you have not reached the final height of the pane, then you add 15 to the current center of y, and otherwise you get the current center only as it is. You set the current center as it is as your new center of y. Similarly, if you want to go left, you'll do what? You'll set the center x, then you'll check if the center x is greater than this radius, then you reduce minus 15. So in that way you bring the circle on the left, and if it reaches at some location over here where basically the circle looks something like this, then it stops. Okay, then it stops. So then it gives you only the center x as it is. Current center only is given as it is, and it is set as the new center. Now if you want to go right, then you do what? You set the center x as, first you check whether the center x is less than the width of the pane minus circle dot get radius. So it is basically total of this width minus some radius of the circle, this let's say this much. So what happens is that this location, this particular location, up to this much, the circle should go. That's what we defined. So that's why here what does it have? We say that get the width minus get the radius, and reduce the radius from the width, and if the current center is less than this, then you can add 15 to it. So if the circle is over here, right, so obviously it is less than the width minus radius, right, at this location. Obviously 15 would be added and it would move right. Okay, otherwise if it is reached at the last location, suppose if it has reached over here in the last location, then you just get that current x and set it as it is. Okay, so that is what we do. So this is main event handling code, which will run when the event gets generated. Otherwise it does not get run on when this line number 26 gets executed. No, it just sets that there is an event object which will have this code. That kind of thing is set when line number 26 executes. But this switch case would run when basically the event actually is generated and it is thrown. So this is an event handler code. Now see what we did. In the start we created the pane, then we set the insets, then we created a circle and added that circle to the pane. Then we set its on key press event handler code for specifically key press event only. There can be n number of events like my mouse move, mouse button down, mouse button up, or mouse button release, mouse button press, right? Those kind of events would be there. So if here it is like that here the key is pressed, it will check whether that key matches up, down, left, or right. It can be any key, but if it matches any of this one, then we will do accordingly the code. And then now see what we are doing. We are creating a scene, we are adding a pane to it, and this is the size of that scene, 200 by 200. And then we are setting its scenes, the title of the stage, and we are adding the scene to the stage. So what did I tell you? What was the hierarchy? There will be the stage object, which will have the scene object. Okay. See, the size is 200 by 200 size has been given to this scene object. So the pane object is added into the scene. So there is this pane inside scene, and inside pane, what did we add? Inside pane, we added the circle object. So this is the hierarchy. This is how the objects are handled in basically this JavaFX. So once finally we add the scene gets added into the stage, and now we can show the stage. We can say primary stage dot show, and we can even say pane dot request focus. So the focus will come onto the pane where there is a circle object. So now if you move the arrow keys, then that due to this requesting the focus, that events would be applied onto the pane. If the focus is not there on the pane, then the events would not apply, to make sure. Okay. So that is how a simple practical number 18, where what we are doing, we are creating a pane object, we are adding a circle object to it, we are setting its on key press event handling method code, we create a scene object, add a pane to it, set this primary stage title, we add the scene to that stage, we show the stage, and we put the focus on the pane, so that now whenever we move the arrow buttons, the circle moves. So let me again run it. So see, this is now the focus is on the pane. So if I move my arrow, this will move. If I take some focus over somewhere else, okay, let's see, for example, this is it, and here is our this thing. Okay, so right now the focus is there, so I'm able to move the circle. Check this out. But now if I put my focus over here, I click over here, and now if I move my arrow keys, then the focus has gone to that particular window. So see, now right now the focus is in this, so I will able to move. You see, when the focus comes, you can see that there is some shadow given to this window, right? And you can even maximize it. So accordingly, this circle can move to the end of the screen, and accordingly it can move to the start and end of the screen. See that? If you move it like this, in both directions, it goes into the diagonal direction. Okay. And here is the title. So that's it. That is our first 18 number program, practical number 18. So do one thing, try it out. Try to add some more circles to it. Try to put it in some locations. Try to add some key press event to that circle objects. Okay. And then try to see what happens. Okay, I'll give you some time to run this. You can get it from the repository. You can get the code from the repository. Okay. So this is the folder from where you can get it. Take this, do run it out, okay, and check whether this runs or not on your side. Then we'll, after some time, we'll continue with program number 19, and then we'll continue with program number 20. All these three are graphical user interface based. These all are JavaFX programs. Okay. I hope you people are able to run it out. Okay, guys. So let us continue with the next program. I hope you people have run this. Okay, and let me again present. Okay, Manish is asking, we are using two-time public keyword, public void start and public static void main. Okay, yeah, no issue. And what is the main motive of this one and what is application of this one? Okay, no issue. So lots of many questions in a single question. No issue. Let me show you. Yeah, I hope it is visible. Yes. Now see, this program has got two methods. One is main, another start. Okay. So when we say this can also be called as application dot launch, like this. So launch is a static method of application class which we have already inherited by extending application class. So we can directly call it from main because it is static. It can be called from static main method. This launch method will do what? It will create an object. It will create an application object. Which is nothing but a GUI based object. So this is not a simple text console based GUI. It's not a text console based application. It is a GUI based application, graphical user interface based application. And when that application object has been created, on that application object, the start method is called. So the start method is called every time you want to launch this GUI application. Every time you run this GUI application, it starts with the start method. As simple as that. And what does it do? The platform over here, the platform that is the JSF platform, the JSF API itself creates a stage object. In this application is nothing but a kind of a stage object is created. It will create a stage object, and that stage object is passed over here. Okay. What is that stage object? Stage object is nothing but a simple frame which can have these three buttons: closing button, maximize button, and minimize button. That is nothing but a stage. On this stage you can have multiple scenes which may have multiple panes, right? That kind of arrangement is there. In any of the GUI based frameworks, even if you see Swing, you will find that the outer thing that you see is a frame. Then inner you have different kinds of different kinds of object inside it, different container objects. Basically these all are container objects. Container objects means which contain other objects, and these are all graphical objects. So these are kind of graphical container objects which can contain other objects. Okay, which can contain other objects. So the objects that we saw over here, the pane object, the scene object, and this primary stage object, all these are container objects. So they contain what? So in hierarchy, these are arranged as I told you, that first comes the stage object. Stage object is a container which can contain inside it another what? Scene object. Scene object is also a container which can contain other scenes or other pane objects. Okay. Then pane object basically has what? Pane object also, the stage is there, then there is scene, then there is pane, and inside pane object you can have either other pane objects or actual graphical objects. Like here we had circle, right? In that way we can have rectangle or something like that, right? So see, these are nothing but container objects. All these three are container objects which can contain other objects like it or like other. Like pane object can contain other panes. Pane object can contain other panes. Okay. Now the second question that you asked was, what is the use? So use is to make desktop based graphical user interface based applications. So if you see, this is an IDE, this NetBeans is an IDE, right? And this NetBeans IDE, basically this NetBeans IDE is also an application. Understand? So if you want to base a graphical app, you want to make a graphical application using using JavaFX, then you need to use this application class. You need to extend this application class. And JavaFX also supports web-based applications, mobile-based applications also, along with desktop-based applications. So right now we are seeing an example of what? This is an example of this class. Is an example of desktop-based application. Desktop-based application, but not a simple console-based. It's not that you run the console, right? It's not like this, that you run the console and you open the console, right? This is suppose the console, and here you give the command like Java and class name, right? It's not like that. No. This is, if you run an application like this, then this is a console based application where you have to deal in with input and output is given on the console itself. Okay. Onto the, we can say, text based console. This is text based console. But what if you need a graphical user interface where you need buttons, menus like this, right? Buttons like this, then some panes like this which can be moved from here to there, right? So how do you do that? So for that, the API provides various classes. JavaFX API provides various classes. Okay. So I hope I have solved your question. Okay, let us go to practical 19 then, in the same way. Okay. So see, in this practical 19, what do we do? Here in this practical 19, okay. So in this, let me tell you what we will do. Okay. Okay, now this particular application, practical 19. So I hope I have cleared your doubt first. Let me see that. Understood. Okay, Manish says understood. That's good. Great. So let's continue with practical 19. And here what we will do is here basically we'll here also again we are creating a circle only. Okay, but see now this. Okay, let me first show its statement. The statement of practical number 19 says that you need to write a program that displays the color of a circle as red. Displays the color of a circle as red. When does it do that? When the mouse button is pressed, and it would display as blue when the mouse button is released. Okay, so check this out. When I run this file, right now you can see that this is the application, and inside the application, anywhere if I press my mouse, the color of the circle will become red. If I release it, it becomes blue. Okay, just a minute. Okay, so see in this practical, what do we do? In this practical, we first see here in this main we have this start is okay. You are also asking why two public methods, right? So obviously main needs to be public, right? And this start is invoked externally from externally, okay, from external application. So that's why this also needs to be public. So see, by default, we know that mostly we keep all the methods as public, so that these are accessible from outside also, from other classes also. You know, understand? So see here, as soon as you say launch the application, it will do what? It will create an object, a stage object, and this stage object is being passed to this start method, which automatically gets called. Inside this start method, what do we do? So basically this start method is the one where all our code would be there whenever we want to make an application. Okay. So here see what we do. We say we create a new circle by saying new circle 200, 200. This is X, this is Y, and this is 50 is the radius. This is the radius. And then you also specify the color by saying color.blue. So this color class is also available in this JSF API only. Okay. So now you are making the color of the circle as blue. Now we are also using another kind of pane, which is called as a step pane. So it's a new step pane and we add a circle to it directly. Okay. The circle that we created over here is being directly added to the pane. So the XY are already specified. So at that XY location it will be added. Now we say primary state dot set scene, new scene, and we add the pane to it, and the width and height is 600 by 600. Okay. So once we add a new scene, so first see we add a pane to the scene, then we create the scene object, then we set that as a scene for this particular primary stage that we had been passed over here. Once that is done, we set the color of the, we set, see what do we do? We say on set on mouse press. See, for this pane, now we are setting a mouse press event. Okay, we are saying on mouse press what to do for the pane. When mouse is inside the pane and then mouse is pressed, an event would be generated, and once that event generates, we need to execute only one set of only one code. What? We need to generate or execute only one method call. That is, on that circle, you say set field. What is the new field of that circle? What is the color to be field for that circle? Color.red. So you say set field as color.red when mouse is pressed. Okay. And on mouse release, if the mouse is released, then what do we say? We say EC dot set field color blue. So you are filling the color as blue for this circle object. Okay. So on mouse press, the color becomes red. On mouse release, the color becomes blue. Originally the color was blue. Okay. Then you set the title of the stage and then you show it out. You just simply show it. So again, let me run it. Check this out. This is 600 by 600. I'll just reduce the size so that it fits into our screen. And now say if I click, so this mouse press and mouse release methods have already been declared. Okay, these are already been declared. When will it get executed? When the event occurs in this context. So when I press my mouse in anywhere over here, I press my mouse, what happens? It gains the event gets generated, that event gets passed, over here, and for that event, the circle's field color is set as red if that event is mouse press. If it is mouse release, then again what happens? The event gets passed over here into this mouse released and the circle's color is set as blue. Okay. So originally it was blue, it again becomes blue. As simple as that. Got the point? See, originally it is blue. If I click on it, it becomes red. Anywhere I click, for that particular moment, up to I keep the button pressed, it is red. You see, up to even if I'm moving the mouse, and I've kept the button as pressed, it is red. As soon as I release it, it becomes original blue. So this is a very simple code, very small code. Try it out, try to play with this. There are other colors available also in this, right? Try to try to see, these are some of the colors. Lots of colors are available, you can see, right? Chocolate color is also available, right? Lots of honeydew color is there, low green, light green, linen, magenta, lots of them are there. So you can try it out. Go ahead and play with this. Okay, download this code and try to make different. You can even try to, you know, access various other events. So see, on pane, you can check. If I say set, see, these are the various kinds of events available. Set alignments and set disable, set focus, then set ID. Lots of events are there. You see, on mouse entered also there is an event. On mouse exited there is an event. You see, and then you an event handler object is being passed. Right. Lots of events are there. You can so try it out, play with this. Okay, and then do come back. I'll give you some time for this. I'm keeping the code open. You can access it. You can even access it from that repository. Okay. Okay, so now let's continue with third program. Okay, let me show the screen again. Okay, so the third program, what does the third program say? Third program says, that is program number 20 says that write a GUI program that uses button to move a message to the left and right. So a text is to be moved. A message is obviously a text. It has to be moved on the left hand side and right hand side. And use radio button to change the color of the message displayed. Use the radio button to change the color of the message displayed. Okay. So how would we uh, change the display color? Yes. So let me show you how would we do that. Okay, and how would we use radio buttons and special buttons only to move us left and right. Okay, just a minute. Okay, so in this program, now see what we are doing is in this practical, this class extends application, okay, that we do in order to create a GUI application. We have a text object. We have a text type of object, and the text object is created like this: new text 50 comma 50. What are these? Obviously, these are x and y values where this text object would be put. Okay. Then we have the text value inside it. Okay. Now we have just created this text. Now we need to put it into the particular pane so that it can be displayed. Okay. Check this out. Here also we have two methods. One is start and another is main. Inside main we say application.launch. Obviously this application.launch will call this start automatically. And here what do we do? Check this out. Here we have a new type of pane. In this example I am showing you a new type of pane, and that is the border pane. Okay. What do we use in this? What do we do? Check this out. We create a border pane. We say border pane equal to new border pane. And now we'll create small different panes for different things, like pane for buttons, pane for radio buttons, and pane for text. And all these three panes will be put into this original pane, main pane. Okay, so check this out. First we created the main pane, and then we created a pane for buttons by saying hbox equal to pane for buttons equal to new hbox 20. So this hbox The height of the H box is given over here. Okay, the H box gets created. Now, after that, what do we do? After that, we create a left button and a right button. Okay, an H box is created and that gives left button and right button. Now, inside this H box, we will have to put these two buttons. So first we say this is new button, move left, that is the text. New button, move right, that is the text for the button. Once the buttons are done, now check this out, what do? We say pane for buttons dot get children and add all. Instead of adding one object at a time, we add lots of objects. So we add button left, button right. If any other objects are to be added, we can go on ahead by separating by comma. Okay. Once the buttons are added, we say pane for buttons dot set alignment position dot center. This position first class gives us a position constant center, which allows us to set the alignment of the objects, of the graphical objects put inside the pane. So the alignment that we have selected is center alignment. So all the objects would be aligned in the center while displaying. Okay. And then this pane for buttons is being set as a bottom pane in the main pane. Okay. Let me do one thing. Let me make this pane and let me refactor it to main pane. You can see everywhere main pane is coming now. Okay. Now see, in the main pane, we added this pane for buttons as a bottom pane. Then what do? We create one more H box, calling it as a pane for radio buttons. Okay. Then what do? We create various radio buttons. See, we are creating about 5 radio buttons, not 6, 5. Radio button red, new radio button yellow, new radio button black, new radio button orange, and new radio button green. These 5 types of radio buttons have been added. Okay. In fact, these are just created, not yet added. So now what do we do in order to add these? We say pane dot for radio buttons, get children, add all. So these 5 objects are being added as a children of pane for radio buttons. Let me take this code of main pane over here. Okay, not let it be as it is. So see, once this pane has been created and the radio buttons have been added to the pane, we have one more thing to do. This, if we don't group these radio buttons, then each and every radio button will be clickable. But we want only one single radio button to be clickable at a time. That is what is expected from radio buttons, right? So what do? You have to create a group and add this group to the radio buttons. So we say toggle group equal to new toggle group. It allows us to create a toggle group, and we say rbred dot set toggle group. Okay. So here what we are doing is we are basically creating a group object and adding it to all the radio buttons. The same group is being given to all the radio buttons. Now what happens is, it's not like adding a group to radio buttons, but it is almost the reverse. That is, you are adding the radio buttons to the group. What You are adding the radio buttons to the group and not the group to the radio buttons. Okay, it's like that. So now you would add, since you have added all the radio buttons to a group, now only a single radio button can be selected at a time. Okay. And once this is finalized, what you do, you add this pane for radio buttons in which you have added the radio button objects into the main pane as a top pane. So see, before we added bottom as pane for buttons, then we add pane for radio buttons as top. Okay, then we add a new pane. Okay, one more pane is added. Is pane for text. Here we say new pane. Pane for text dot set style. Border color is black. Pane for text dot get children dot add text. The text that we had created gets added as the text over here. And then we set this pane for text as the center pane. Okay. Once we add it as a center text, center pane, we say button left dot set on action. So the button left that we had added in the button pane, on its action, what happens? Text X value is reduced. See, I told you before, if you want to reduce, move left, reduce X, move right, increase X. So for button left, action is what? For the event handler, text dot set X, get the current X of text, text value, and reduce 10 from it. And for button right, what is the action? Get the current X, add 10 to it. This is the action, this is the event that we have created for buttons. Okay. Similarly, you have this radio buttons, RB red. So what happens when you set RB red? What happens when you select it? Right? It generates an event, and here we check inside the event handler code. Inside this event handler code, we check if this RB red is selected. If that radio button is selected, it might be deselected also. Sometimes it might be selected also. Right? So if it is selected, then the field color of the text should be filled as red. Similarly, again, if when yellow button is clicked and if it is selected, then obviously yellow color would be set for the text. Okay. So see, what we are doing is we are adding this pane for buttons as the bottom. Okay. This pane for radio buttons as top. Just a minute. Okay. So see here what we are doing. Here we are basically we had created a main pane inside which we are setting the pane for radio buttons as a top, pane for text as a center, pane for buttons as bottom. Okay. So see what happens. First you create a top for which you generate radio buttons. So these radio buttons get generated, okay, and put into the top pane. Then you have a center pane, and then you again have a bottom pane. Inside the bottom pane, you are adding some buttons. This is move left, and then there is move right. One is move left, another is move right. Okay, and we have this in all these things in the this main pane. Got the point? This is the main pane. This is the main pane, inside which all these panes are put. Okay. So this is yellow. This is black. This is green. This is blue. This is red. This way colors are there, and here the text would be there. What would be the text? Something like this, right? AC1 class. This is the text. So now the text is also added. A pane for text is there. This is the pane for text. Which is this? Pane for radio buttons is this one. Pane for text is this one. And the pane for buttons is this one. Okay. All these are added into main pane. Which is main pane? This green one is the main pane. Okay. Now if you press this left button, this text goes to left side. If you press this right button, the text goes to right side. If you click on yellow, this text becomes yellow colored. If you select blue, it becomes blue colored. If you select red, it becomes red colored. Okay. In this way, the colors also are changed for this text by selecting the radio buttons, and they are also moved left or right by putting this, clicking these buttons. So if you see the events that are occurring, what events have we set? Action we have set is that on left button, on clicking left button, what action should we do? Set the X value of text as get the current value minus 10. So decrease the current X value by 10. If it is button right, then you increase the text value by current X value plus 10. If you selected a radio button which is red, then you check whether it is selected. If it is selected, then you fill the text color as red. If yellow is selected, you set the color of text as yellow. Or if black is selected, you set the color as black. If orange is selected, you select text field as orange. If green is selected, you make it as green. Once these actions or this event handlers are defined, now what you do? You create the scene where you add the main pane, and this is the size. 450 is the width, 150 is the height. Scene has been created. Now you have to set the title of the stage, add the scene to it, and directly show it. Let's see what is there in this when we run this. When I run this file, we'll get this kind of, check this out. See, this was what I was talking about. This is top pane for radio buttons. Then this is the pane. This is the pane for what? This is the pane for. This is the pane for text. Okay. Then we have another pane as pane for buttons. And now we have this main pane where all these three panes are added. Okay, and we have this main stage where this pane is there. So what happens if you click on this red, the color of this text becomes red. If you select this left button, this text moves left. If you select this right button, it moves right. Let me show you. If I click on red, it becomes red. I click on yellow, it becomes yellow. I click on green, it becomes green. I click on orange, it becomes orange. On black, it becomes black. If I click on this move left, you can see the text is moving left. We have not put any validation, so it goes on moving. It can disappear also. You see, it moves right now. It can disappear also, like this. Can come back also like this. Okay. So these are various events that. Why do we need to work with events? Because in GUI applications, there are always some events happening. Either you are moving a mouse, or you are clicking a button, or you are clicking a radio button, or you are selecting a menu item, or doing something like that. That's what happens when you are when you are basically creating a GUI application. Understand? So this is how this practical number 20 works. Okay. So I hope you understood what we have done with this particular practical. This is a somewhat bigger practical where we are creating three panes and adding it to a single pane, and then adding that pane to a scene, and that scene is being added. So it's something like this. See, it's something like this. You have this stage object which has got the scene object which has got the pane object, which in turn has got three panes. And it adds this three pane in three different locations. So for example, this pane, one of the pane is added as top, another is added as center, and the third pane is added as bottom. It can be a left and right also, a left and right region also. In the top pane, what do you add? In the top pane, you add various video buttons, or button, I'll say, or simply, yes, or BTN. So you add multiple radio buttons inside this pane. Similarly, in center pane, you add only one text. So see, here we are adding radio buttons, whereas here you would add a text object, and in this pane you are adding two buttons. Button for left, and this is button right. See, here we are adding what? Here we are adding 5 radio buttons, here a text, and here 2 buttons. This is how the stage gets created. This is how the hierarchical representation used internally. Got the point? Understand this thing? Okay, if at all any doubt, please do let me know, because this is a new topic that you are going through. There might be some doubts, so please do let me know. Okay, I think this is the end of this program. Any doubt, then please do let me know. Manish is asking, can we change the background color? Yes, see Manish, the backgrounds that we are representing is the pane. Okay, background is nothing but the pane inside which you are putting different objects, right? So if we can change the color of if we can change the color of our objects like circle and radio buttons, or text and buttons, obviously you can change the color of the pane also. Okay. So I would recommend you, why don't you people try to explore this, because see there will be lots of kinds of this kind of things that you would be able to do. Okay. So I would recommend you people try exploring out, start exploring it out. Okay. And to start playing out with this particular what you can say thing. Okay. So see, there is something called as background property, through which we can get the background of object, and then we can access it. But we should go in sequential manner. Okay, we should learn this topics in a step by step manner. That's what I would suggest. So start exploring this. So there are various sites available. Okay, start exploring those sites and see how they have made various different, how they have applied colors to different things, right? There is something there are lots of other things, there are lots and lots of other things available in JavaFX. There are 2D shapes also available, right? And charts are also available. You can have your own CSS. Animation is also available. Transformations, effects, right? Lots of things are available in JavaFX. Okay, so Jayshankar is asking how to think of a problem when we how to think is a problem we face when we write code. Okay, so Jayshankar, for that I would suggest is, why not you people start exploring the programs. Okay, start exploring the programs from various sites. There are lots of others, lots of sites like Java 2s, right, which provide you lots of different programs. Try to play with those programs. Once you have understood the concept, what does the pane do, what does the button do, what does the stage, how you set the scene, all those things, once you understand this, then you start playing with the program. Only by practice you will be able to understand, only by practice you will be able to get how to create a program of your own. So for example, you might want to create a game, right? So it's not directly like, it's not like learning how to create a game. It's first learning how to manage these components, how to create the components, how to create it out, how to add components to it, how to manage the events on all those things. Once you learned all these things, then you start utilizing, you start playing with it, with these objects, by putting various objects, creating various objects, generating various events and handling those events. Okay, so just remember that these GUI objects revolved around events. Events are very much important. So you should know which particular event to handle. You might want that on some button press, a form should be submitted, right? So in that case, you might generate your own event. Okay. So start creating some small programs. Okay, then you will become clear what is the use of each and every component. Okay, what is the use of uh, pane, what is the use of buttons, what is the use of check boxes, what is the use of text boxes, how to make use of this, how to make a form using uh, a simple JavaFX program, how to submit that form. Try to do those kind of things. How to make a 2D shape, how to animate it, right? Right now, just I showed you one example where I'm moving the mouse and the ball moves. Now you might move, you might want to create a ping pong game kind of example, right? So in that case, lots of objects would be used, right? So step by step, you go ahead and start learning and start practicing. Practicing is very, very important. Unless and until you don't practice, you will not be able to create GUI based good applications. Okay. So I think that's it for the day. If at all you have any doubt, other doubts, then please do let me know. Others can leave, and those who have doubts, they can remain. Okay.